How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this is a crazy story. Absolutely never heard anything like this before. As you can see from the title, former prisoner sues Ministry of Justice over PTSD from rats. Now, PTSD is obviously post-traumatic stress disorder. He wants compensating for his time inside because of rats which have caused him PTSD. This is a story in The Guardian, link in the description below like I always do. Story reads, the 71-year-old says he suffered nightmares and depression because of the rodent problems at Wormwood Scrubs. A man is suing the prison service after he developed post-traumatic stress disorder from rats running across his body and bed whilst he was locked up in his cell, The Guardian has learned. The 71-year-old was serving a short sentence at Wormwood Scrubs in London after being convicted of a benefits offence, which he insists he did not commit. As a result of the rodent's constant presence, he began to have vivid and terrifying nightmares, was diagnosed with depression and developed a skin rash and symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. The case has come to light the week after a damning report into HMP Bedford found the rat problem there was so bad that one prisoner witnessed was catching and killing rats in his cell during an inspection. The report, published on Tuesday, found the pest control work had failed to eradicate a significant infestation of the rodents at HMP Bedford. When the pensioner at Wormwood Scrubs began to serve his sentence, one prison officer described the place as a rat's hole to him, whilst another told him the wings had been assigned to was worse than Beirut. The rat problem at the prison appears to be long-standing. A 2015 report into the conditions at the jail by Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons referred to the issue thus. The prison has had significant rat problems. We saw them every day and night we visited the prison, and a large rat's nest was obviously in the grounds, inspector stated. The man's first encounter with the rats was the day after he arrived, when one of them came and sat on his feet whilst he was reading a newspaper in his cell. After that, he saw rats many times running up and down the walls, running across his bed and getting in and out through broken cell windows. My cellmate used to eat smoky bacon crisps, and when he dropped a packet on the floor, the rats would come in and finish off the packet. They were so tame, they weren't scared of humans at all, he told The Guardian. The problem was made worse by the fact he was usually locked in his cell for 23 hours a day on weekdays and permanently over the weekends, meaning there was no escape from the rats. He said rodents also found in the servery area where prisoners get their food. You should have heard the sound of so many grown men screaming when a rat jumped out of a sack of potatoes, he said. The man's lawyer, Jane Ryan, at Bat Murphy Solicitor, is bringing a claim against the Ministry of Justice on his behalf for a variety of issues, including a breach of his human rights and the Equality Act, and for negligence. She said that the appalling living conditions he had a devastating impact on the pensioner. Living conditions in prison should be humane for the benefit of staff and prisoners, said Ryan. Although the man has now been released from prison, he says that he is still haunted by the fear of rats. There's not a day that goes by when I am not looking at the walls to see if I can see rats running up and down them. He said, I get a lot of anxiety attacks and I can't sleep at night. I make sure I always keep my window closed. Whenever I complain about the rats whilst I was in prison, the prison officer said to me, this isn't a hotel, you know, you're here to be punished. A prison service spokesman said it would be inappropriate to comment on ongoing legal proceedings. Surprise, surprise, guys. The MOJ trying to keep a lock on the story getting out because they don't want to admit there's a rat infestation problem. Now, like I say, this prisoner's obviously, he's trying a quick one. I personally don't blame him though. I mean, he's 71-year-old, he was in for benefit fraud, so he wants to get money. He's probably like struggling to live. And he's wanting to get a load of compensation. Rightfully so. Is he probably, chances are he's playing this up and stuff. Like I say, guys, this is 2019, yeah. 2019. This story reads like something out of a Dickensian novel, do you know what I mean? The fact is, guys, yeah, prisons are full of squalid conditions. Vermin, rats, mice, cockroaches. And it is a breach of the prisoner's human rights, and massively, massively so. And every prisoner, in my opinion, should be taking legal action and trying to pull judicial reviews of the prison and just challenging it on legal grounds through their legal team. I mean, by housing prisoners in squalid conditions, guys, right? Now, those on the right side of the tracks that want to brutalise prisoners, they'll be thinking, oh, this is great, like, yeah, bring them on more of it. I say to these people, you're absolutely clueless, because by housing prisoners in squalid conditions and stuff with rats and mice and everything else and cockroaches doesn't aid rehabilitation, nor does it act as a deterrent. All that simply does, it makes you demoralised, desensitised, dehumanised, and even more disenfranchised than when you entered the system, thus meaning that you leave the prison angry, pissed off, with more criminal connections than you had when you entered prison. Fewer police on the streets, reoffending cost the taxpayer £15 billion a year, people go back to crime, and the revolving door that is prison continues. Now, surely the aim of prison is to leave in a better position than when you entered. And one of the contributing factors of that is obviously the regime, treatment conditions, education, skills, training, reintegration and resettlement. They can't even get the basics right, guys. You wouldn't house your dog. You wouldn't put your dog in a cell with rats. So why are they putting human beings in there? In the name of rehabilitation. Now, rehabilitation, guys, simply put, is a politician's word. It doesn't exist. It gives people like Rory Stewart, the prisons minister, and David Gauke, the Justice Secretary, the right to wear a suit, feel important whilst getting paid whacking wages, residing over people they can't relate to in any which way. Prison doesn't work. Just like I say, it succeeds only in demoralising, desensitising, dehumanising, and making you even more disenfranchised than when you enter the system. That creates monsters, kicks you out the door with £46, and surprise, surprise, people go back to crime. With fewer police on the streets, the facts are that crimes are going unsolved and even uninvestigated, and it's become a criminal's paradise. Frontline policing has been decimated under the Conservative government. Them Tories are vile people, man. And like I say, community police stations are closing down, and it's a green light for criminals across the board to commit crime. They can't even get the basics right in prison. This isn't a Dickensian Neville, guys, from the 1800s. This is 2019 prisons here in the UK. It's ridiculous. Gonna leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think, not about what I think, what you think. Have you been in Bedford? Let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.